Well, hey there, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Rate the Record podcast, episode 143. Thank you very much for joining me and hanging out today and listening to this album with me. I'm your host, Chris, as always, here in this studio. Where else would I be? Listening to music, having reviews of this music, having you review the music with me. That's how this whole thing works. So once again, thank you very much for joining me and hanging out. And just before we go any further, I just want to let you know that there are ways that you can support the show. There's one way, a bunch of ways. There are all the ways I'm about to list that you can literally do right now to help support the show, and it is the following: like, subscribe, rate, share, comment, and follow. 6 quick, free, and easy things you can literally do this very moment at any point in the podcast. It's fine regardless. Those are the options that you can do, and I really appreciate it if you do those things. And also, you can find other places to do those things over at ratetherecord.ca. That is ratetherecord.ca. The streaming links, the social media links, the RTR album chart, which is every single podcast episode in chronological order, or actually in the order it is now. It's like highest score to lowest. You can put it in whatever order you want, that's fine. But regardless, that's there. And of course, the RTR Club. If you want to financially donate to the show and help support and kind of like move things along, it is optional, but the option is indeed yours, and I would truly appreciate that. So you can go ahead and check that out if it interests you over at ratetherecord.ca. Alrighty then. Racing through all the quick parts so we can actually get to today's album. One I'm very excited to do. I happen to be wearing the shirt for this band today, and I didn't think I was ever going to do a Skinny Puppy album on the show. I don't know why I wouldn't. Maybe because I was like too rock oriented for a very long time, but now I'm trying to like expand into different things, industrial being one of those things. So yes, on today's episode, we are actually taking a look at Skinny Puppy. I had the vinyl right here, and their 1990 album, Too Dark Park, turning 35 years old. I've seen conflicting things that said the 24th, the 25th, and even October 30th. As far as I'm concerned, it was October 30th, so the day that this episode actually drops will be October 30th. It's the 35th anniversary of this record, and it's one of Skinny Puppy's most acclaimed albums to date, one of the most popular that they have, and the album sleeve art is just amazing. You just have some back here. Shout out to Jim Cummins, who did it. Just very freaky, cool, almost psychedelic kind of art. And it's also the very first time that this Skinny Puppy logo was actually used on an album, too. You see that one here? It's on my shirt. There you go. This was the first album that actually had this logo on it. So that's pretty cool. I'm looking forward to getting into this one. I've liked Skinny Puppy for a little while now. And obviously getting into one of the most popular albums is going to be like a big task. So before we actually get into reviewing the songs, let me tell you a little more about the album, aside from showing you the sleeve. Too Dark Park is the 6th full-length studio album by industrial trio Skinny Puppy. It was released on October 30th, 1990 through Network Music Group. For this album, the band consisted of Dwayne Goetel on synths, guitar, and bass, Kevin Crompton, aka Sven Key, on drums, synths, guitars, and samples, and Kevin Ogilvie, aka Nivek Ogre, on vocals. Key acted as producer alongside Ogre's brother Dave Rave Ogilvie. Many outlets gave varying reviews of the album, most notably sitting at a 4.5 out of 5 in AllMusic. Metal Hammer also placed the album on 2 lists: 10 Best Industrial Metal Albums and 10 Best Industrial Music Albums. The album spawned 2 singles, Tormentor and Spasmolytic. And there you go, just a little bit more about the album, just in case you didn't know already, and I truly do mean a little bit more about the album. I couldn't find too much more about it, other than the fact that obviously it's one of their more influential and bigger albums. And this one was very influenced by Ministry at the time, who was starting to get big into the industrial metal scene, so it played a huge part into what you hear in this record, and I think you'll hear that moving forward. Should be pretty exciting, and speaking of which, let's move forward with song number 1 called Convulsion.
Terribly uncomfortable.
Alright, great words to end the song there. Song number 1, Convulsion. Man, what a menacing start to this album, like just absolutely threatening on every level. The varying drum patterns too, like really caught my attention pretty early on and carried on for a bit like that as it went. It had like one consistent beat overall, but there were like kind of change up every once in a while. And I thought that was really cool. Obviously this is a very like noisy and grimy album all over the place overall. But the lower and crunchier tones in this one, I think, were a really good mood setter and like really effective in driving home like the kind of like overall nature of the sound that this album is trying to produce. So great way to kind of like get everyone kicked in and ready for this one. I thought it was like a fantastic idea. And seemingly like the song too is about like drugs and addiction and everything like that. This album revolves around things like that: drugs, addiction, like like nature in general and how it's being mistreated, the mistreatment of animals. Like there's a bunch of stuff because I know that like Nivek himself is like quite the activist, and I do believe I've mentioned that later in my notes as well. So of course you're going to get a lot of those types of themes revolving around this particular album. It works well. Great album starter here. Great show starter too. I think this would actually start a concert really, really well. So yeah, great way to start the album. I think it's really menacing, fantastic stuff, and you can only hope that it gets just bigger and better from here. Let's find that out right now as we go into song number 2 called Tormentor. Random little drum sample at the end there. Song number 2, Tormentor. Though this one is still dark in nature, and most of the album, or all of the album, I should say, is a very dark album. There's a notable tonal shift with the sound overall in this one. I know we're still very early on, we're gonna get different sounds and everything like that, but just already we go from that really loud, noisier, crunchier song 1 into this one, which still has those like louder, heavier moments as well, but I think a lot of their more classic sound is coming through with like the synth sequencing, everything like that, the clean cut drum machines. And then, yeah, of course, like a lot of the noisier layers just kind of caked all over the production and everything like that. So you're kind of getting the best of both worlds of like what they're going for now versus what they're known for in the past. So I think it's like a really good combination of both. And this can be said for many of the tracks as well. But ones like this, I'm just really impressed overall with the production. I love how expansive it feels, especially in headphones, because it feels like every little bit of space that you're hearing in these headphones is used up appropriately. It's like a hallucinatory nightmare or something like that. So I love how expansive it feels without actually being like tremendously expansive. So they're just doing a very good job. Very smart production all over this one, and I'm a fan of it. I really do like it. So now, let's move on to song number 3, the other single on the album, Spasmolytic. Hell yeah. Song 3, Spasmolytic. There feels like, it feels like there is so much building going on in this entire track, so it just always feels like it's like hyping you up for something. It's just building, building, building. I really like it. And obviously a lot of that's going to come from the pounding quarter note bass drum combination, just quarter note snare and bass drum. That's what I meant to say. The combination of that just pounding through the track, then you get these drum rolls and everything like that, so you're always feeling this sense of building, so it's just kind of leading you somewhere. It's getting really exciting. It sounds really cool in what it's doing too, because you have like a lot of encompassing layers in this sound, but especially with that bass synth though, that leads the vast majority of the song. I think sounds fantastic, and it really adds kind of like a much needed texture to everything that's going on. Because aside from the drums, everything feels like a lot smoother. There's like a lot more airiness to the atmosphere in this one. So you get the punchiness of the drums, the sharp stabs of the bass, and then of course the very grimy vocals. But just, yeah, I don't know. Without the bass, I think it would feel a lot smoother overall. Like not completely, but just more than it should. It wouldn't feel as gritty without that bass just kind of stabbing in there. So I think it's fantastic. I really like that. And another thing I really like about the song too is the fact that when it goes into that like halftime style beat, once you get to about the halfway point or so, I think that's really cool. It's a nice relief to the buildup. It feels like it kind of pays off. I think it could have did a little better, but I still really like it every time I hear it. It's still very exciting. Because I think that the synth bass line kind of minimizes at the point when it goes to the halfway point. So I don't know. It should have kept picking up from there and just went all out with it. I think it would have sounded really, really cool. But other than that, though, I mean, the song is fantastic. I've always really liked this one, so I'm glad to come back to it and actually give it an appropriate review. So yeah, Spasmolytic, there you go. One of the singles, good stuff. Now we move on to song number 4, Rash Reflection. And as the song fades out, I'll just hit pause right there. Song number 4, Rash Reflection. There's something that feels fairly minimal as compared to some of the other tracks on this album. Like minimal, like in production wise. But I honestly think it's pretty effective in going for that with this one. Because there's also a lot of space filling sound coming from this one, not necessarily from the instrumentals, but a lot of it comes from those like traveling, haunted sounding vocals that's really filling up like the spatial setting in the headphones. So I think that's really good. Works really well. It's a fun sounding track all around, don't get me wrong, but there's not a lot to take away from this one. So it's good what it cuts off when it does, and this one is only 3 minutes and 28 seconds, a fairly average length, so that's not so bad. The one thing that always gets to me about the song, though, is that one repeating sample that you just hear over and over again from the beginning of the song, like right on through to the end. It becomes a little grating after a while, at least to me it does. And that's saying a lot considering the amount of noisy layers all over this album. So that's the one I point out saying, I don't know, that one's a little much. So I don't know, maybe that's saying something. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. It's still not a bad track, don't get me wrong, but just definitely not my favorite on the album for sure. We could say that comfortably. With that, how can I think of song number 5? We'll find out soon when we listen to Nature's Revenge. We'll just pause it there because it immediately cuts to the next song. This was song number 5, Nature's Revenge. There's a lot I actually really do like about the song. I think more than I did on initial listens, so it's just one of those things that definitely grew on me more and more as I was listening to it. You got this the airy layers of this song, the really dancey drum beat and synth passages as well are also really good. The unsettling nature of the track overall I think is pretty fantastic. And again, I know using the word unsettling in a Skinny Puppy album, you can use that pretty much anywhere you want. But I'm really feeling it here, and I really dig that. I really like that. But then you have that fretless bass portion that kicks into, and I think it's a fantastic addition to have. I think you only hear it twice on the entire album. I think song 1 had it. I was reading in the... You know what? It's on the vinyl. It's on the back of the vinyl. It really says. Hold on. It says fretless bass on 1 and 5. So shout out to Mr. D. DeLevin. I think I'm reading that right. DeLevin. Anyways, yeah, fretless bass. So definitely had it here, had it in song 1 too. So there you go. I think it's a great addition to the song overall. It has like a bit of a wailing quality to it that I think fits the mood pretty perfectly. And given that, I mean, surprise, it's another like very darkly written song and everything like that. I've seen people chalk this one up to it being about like nature kind of reclaiming itself from people destroying it, i.e., you know, mankind in general. Which, I mean, makes sense given Ogre's activism and everything like that and his, like, social consciousness and everything like that. But part of me feels like it's kind of a representation of someone's life falling apart, too. It could be because of nature. It could be because of drugs. It could be a number of things. Poverty, too, would be another thing that pops up. And maybe that they're trying to reclaim their life. But, again, I don't know. It's hard for me to draw a lot from this because I'm going to be fairly honest with you. Like, I like to think that I'm pretty good at interpreting lyrics, but some of them can get pretty cryptic. And right now I'm telling you, like, Skinny Puppy's lyrics, if you haven't read them before, they get pretty cryptic, and it can be very difficult to pull from them sometimes. Sometimes they're a little more obvious than others, but sometimes it's just kind of like, wow, this one's hard to sew from, so I don't get it. Sew from? Pull from. I don't know why I said sew. Anyways, let's get past that blunder and go on to song number 6 called Shorelined Poison. I'm going to pause right there because it's about to die out in the last second anyway. Song number 6, Shorelined Poison. It's a super crunchy song all over the place on this production. Like, nothing was safe from it in this one. The drums with that bassy little groove going on was really cool. Again, very crunchy. The vocals, of course. Those string samples that were blown out to all hell, too. Just, it makes the song seem super intense. And I personally don't feel like it's an overusage of just like crunchy, distorted layers and everything like that. like it can be a little overwhelming to maybe some people who aren't used to that much of it in the music, but honestly, I'm fine with it, and I think it sounds great the way it's used here. It's not something that's just happening all over the album all the time, so it's nice when it comes in once in a while and just really makes you feel that intensity just a little more. So I like how it's being done here. And there's a little bit of a come down moment too about halfway through the song, which actually sounds really great too. You get smoother synth bass, you get quieter vocals. It's something of a nice breathing spot to have in this track overall. So again, it's not just one continuously like distorted mess. There is kind of a breathing point in there for you. So it's pretty good. Smart that they added that in there. Great flow to the entire song overall too. And this one was like nearly 5 minutes long. It honestly didn't feel 5 minutes. I really enjoyed this one for how it was done and how it came out and everything like that. It was a lot of fun to get through. Considering just again the darkness of the song. When I say fun, bear with me here. I'm just listening to music, having a good time. So with that said, I'll move on now to song number 7. I can actually scroll down the list. Grave Wisdom. Okay, it fades out there, so I'll pause it. Song number 7, Grave Wisdom. This song takes a little bit to build up to what I believe to be its full potential, but honestly, I think it's kind of worth the wait. You have this like relentless kick drum, and that's like slow layering that just eventually is given way to like a full out dance beat, and honestly, I think it's pretty rewarding when you finally get there. Just a little patience, you get to something really cool, all good. And there's also a lot that builds up toward the last leg of the track as well. I mean, it just gets noisier and noisier as it goes. So it's more or less always giving you something in the song just to kind of like give you a little more, give you a little more, just keep your attention. And the fact that there's like two portions of what I feel are building is actually pretty interesting. And I think it's both pulled off pretty well. They both have decent payoffs too. So there's things that you can actually like about this track because of that. It feels a little chaotic after a while, but honestly, I think that's kind of an advantage at this point, especially given what this album is giving us up to this point. So yeah, I think it was just more smart production going into this one as well. So good job on this one. And now, I mean, that's all I really have to say. Like, I'm having a good time listening to this album. What can I say? It's just good stuff. Could you tell? Anyways, we'll move on to song number 8. It's called t.f.w.o, which actually stands for Totally Fucking Weirded Out. As far as I'm concerned, that's what it stands for. I found that in many places. All right, song number 8, t.f.w.o, Totally Fucking Weirded Out. Speaking of feeling weird, it always feels so weird to have a mostly guitar-driven track on a Skinny Puppy album. Because, you know, considering that just they usually have like electronic drums and synths and sequencing and everything like that, it's what we're kind of like usually fed to us. So tracks like this are kind of like a dime a dozen, or that's probably the wrong terminology. They're not, they don't pop up that often. That's what I'm trying to say, okay? But you know, it sounds cool here. I do like it. Great tones, steady danceable beat. And there's also a lot of layers in this song that I actually really like as well. But there's also some that don't work too well, in my opinion. I don't know, but ultimately still made for a pretty decent track overall because there's a lot happening at once, and there's a lot happening all over this track too. So there's kind of a lot to take in. It does feel like every once in a while the track kind of like slightly changes up its style, not permanently, but just kind of like randomly throws in something that feels just a little too different. So I don't know how to feel about it at times. It feels a little all over the place every once in a while. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I don't dislike this song or anything like that, but it just made the flow of the track a little more complicated to follow. So I just didn't know where I sat with it and how I feel about it. Overall, I mean, I do like it. It's not bad. Again, probably not my favorite on the album, but at the same time, just, yeah, I don't know. This one was like a little harder to follow with its flow. And again, that's weird saying that considering like a lot of the noisier, crazier things that happen on this album and in Skinny Puppy albums in general. So yeah, here we are with this one for sure. I am totally fucking weirded out. Does that work? Anyways, well, we're not laughing at that. We can go to song number 9, Morpheus laughing. Anyways. Pause. There we go. Wow, that almost didn't work there for a minute. Song number 9, Morpheus laughing. So this one is very interesting to me too, just because there are various textures all over this thing that just work so well together. You have these icy sequence synths that are always happening. The airy atmospheric layers behind that too, just kind of like helping to smooth everything out. The hard-hitting percussion, the crunchy vocals, everything just is so different from one another, yet everything works so well. And again, that's just really smart composition, really smart production. I love the way it sounds. It's being pulled off so well. It's such a fun beat in this one too, and a lot of that, again, going back to like the sound textures and everything like that. A lot of it comes from like the drums and percussion, and then those super sharp like staccato synths and sequences that we hear. It just kind of gives everything this very surgical, pinpoint, precision type of feeling to its beat, which makes it a lot more fun to dance to and everything like that. While the airier layers that there are just definitely help expand the sound a little more, and as I said, smooth it out. It's not exactly like the smoothest track. Again, there are sharp textures all over this thing, but without the airiness in the background, I think it'd just be very strictly icy sharp in this one. So it's nice to have like a kind of contrast of both going on. I think it works really, really well. Again, just really smart production. Okay, we're going on to track number 10 for real this time. I'm going to have to like reset the song now since it kind of started playing a little bit. I was going to say penultimate track. That was the last one. This is the actual finale of the album, song number 10, Reclamation. I let that one go all the way to the end. Song number 10, Reclamation. A very ominous ending to the album for sure. We have dark droning synths in there with like a mismatch of like messy layers that like really put like a good end cap on this entire thing. And it's funny because with most Skinny Puppy records, you do get like a lot of instrumental tracks with like just like the only vocals you get are like samples that are coming through and everything like that. This is the only song on the album that actually does this. So I was actually surprised when I first heard this. I was expecting more of that. But no, we're not getting into this one except for this song. And it actually kind of works really well too. It's completely unsettling. But aside from that, I can't really take too much more away from it. It's just a very noisy kind of track. But it feels like a very fitting end to the record for sure. Especially hearing what I originally thought was a bomb going off. I think it might have just been thunder as well, because you hear it like a couple of times a little bit. And then what I thought was rain. But yeah, it definitely works as an ender. I'm glad it is. Sometimes bands will do a track like this and make it like an interlude somewhere in the middle of the record. And I'll just be like, I don't know, that probably didn't need to be there. I get the idea of flipping side A to side B, but I don't know. I'm never really a big fan of interludes unless they're really, really cool. This one is cool, but I'm so much happier that it's actually an album ender rather than just like somewhere in the middle. I don't know if that would have worked for me. So here we are. Yeah, Reclamation. Really not a bad track. Great way to end it all. So that is cool. And with that said, I can go ahead, take off these headphones, hang them if they don't fall to the floor, and let you know that we have reached the end of Skinny Puppy's album, Too Dark Park. There you go. And I'm just going to keep looking at the vinyl just every chance I have to actually show it off and everything like that. And I can also get rid of Kobuz off the screen. See you later. Okay, that was Skinny Puppy's Too Dark Park. You heard all my reviews, and I can't wait to hear yours. And by hear them, I mean read them down in the comments and everything like that. So please go ahead and do that. But wait, there's a little more to do, because these things here, the numbers, you see, they appeared as soon as I pointed. They're on the screen now because it's time to rank the songs. As per always, you know this has to get done. 10 through 1, least favorite to favorite, not so great to great, worst to best, however you want to cut that cake. Go ahead and cut the cake. I left the plates over there. Everyone's got forks and napkins. It's up to you to cut the cake. I already cut mine. Now you got to cut yours. Anyways, I'll let you know my slices right now by telling you the actual song rankings. Could you tell I don't plan those bits at all? I don't know what the hell I'm doing when I'm saying cut the cake, blah, blah, blah. It's just a thing I do now. Or if it's your first time here, you're welcome. I annoyed the hell out of you. Anyways, here are my song rankings. Starting with 10, Rash Reflection. 9, Reclamation. 8, t.f.w.o. 7, Grave Wisdom. 6, Convulsion. 5, Morpheus Laughing. 4, Tormentor. 3, Shorelined Poison. Number 2, Silver Medal goes to Nature's Revenge, because number 1, I kind of already gave it away by saying Spasmolytic has always been one of my favorite Skinny Puppy songs. It is right there, and if you want to spoil this for future watching, if I ever get around to doing the album Bites, it's right up there with Deadlines. It's my favorite Skinny Puppy song. But yes, there you go. There's my 10 through 1 right there, Spasmolytic. And Nature's Revenge, both being 10s, by the way, so it's a solid album all around. Fantastic stuff. Now you know why it's one of the most popular, for sure. One of the favorites. It's up there with Bites. It's up there with Rabies. It's up there with, like, Last Rites. And so, yeah. Hope you enjoyed this one, too. Hope your rankings, be curious to know what yours look like. But wait, hold on. Those disappear, because then this thing shows up and I hit my desk so the camera shakes. It's time to rate the record. Hold on. There we go. I'm getting a little too excited. The album's over now. I'm already too excited. It's time to rate the record. I'm pretty sure the words were kind of scared off for a little minute there, but it's fine. We're good now. Audio listeners have no idea what's going on, and that is fine. We're about to rate the record. That's all you need to know. Okay, so what did I think about this one? You saw my song scores. You heard me praise this album endlessly. I have the shirt. I have the record. So that means I could only really like the album, and I sure do. I can't say whether or not I was expecting it to go higher. I think I was actually expecting it to go higher, but I'm not entirely certain. But I'm happy to at least say it's middle of the A tier, like high middle of the A tier for sure, at 86.5% even. Not a bad score at all. Happy birthday to Too Dark Park by Skinny Puppy. And that fades away, and here I am alone once again to say thank you very much for joining me, hanging out today, and reviewing this album with me. And if you did, please do me a favor and let me know down in the comments below, or wherever you're listening, because there's comment sections everywhere, of what you thought about this album. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you agree or disagree with me? How would you rank the songs? How would you rate the record? All that and more. I always say it and I always mean it. I want to know your opinions on it, so please go ahead and let me know. And you can also find all the places to let me know these things over at ratetherecord.ca. That is ratetherecord.ca, the streaming links, social media links, the RTR Club, it's the RTR Club where you can donate to the show, and of course the album rating chart, which you'll find this one's up in the A tier somewhere when I eventually update that. It should be actually updated by the time this episode goes out, so make sure you're taking a look at that. But yes, find all the places to let me know your opinions over at ratetherecord.ca. And that is all I have for this anniversary episode. I wanted to get this one out on the anniversary, so I had to work really hard. I've been doing a lot over the week, so it was hard to get this one done on time, but it sure as hell is. Next time for 144, I'll just go ahead and tell you, we're going to stick in the world of alternative, but we're going to go from industrial music to just alt kind of grunge style, and we're going to take a look at the album Frog Stomp by Silverchair. It's yet another album that has been on the schedule before, even when Savannah was back on the show, but just like many other albums, for some reason keeps getting pushed back. It could have been requests, it could have been anniversaries, and just kind of like her and I kind of like moving positions because like she wanted to put an album in, I want to put an album in, we're taking turns. But anyways, I'm just giving too many excuses. I'm playing catch up with the albums that used to be on the list, and this one was. I'm glad to finally do it, so next time the episode comes out, it'll be 144, and I hope that you'll join me for it. Until then, go listen to even more awesome music, and I'll talk to you again real soon. Take care, friends.